As the South Carolina community tries to come to terms with the tragedy that we've been hearing throughout the hour, 21-year-old Dylan Roof has confessed to entering that church, and shooting 9 people dead. But this grief is not just being felt in Charleston, of course. It's being felt in communities and churches and houses of worship across the country. What's the message now? Let's bring in Pastor R.C. Blakes Jr. He oversees the New Home family of churches with 6 locations across the South. All are now on alert after the Charleston church shooting. Pastor, thank you so much for joining me. It's such a horrific conversation that we even have to be having. What are you hearing from your congregations, from your parishioners right now?
Well, there's a great concern, obviously. Even on last evening, we had a church meeting, and there was a sense of anxiety about what might happen, what were the security matters that were enforced to make certain that everyone was safe. It's a different kind of anxiety in the black church at this time.
What kind of precautions, extra precautions, are you putting in place?
Well, we've always had security in our church or in our churches. But even on last night, I sat down with certain individuals that are part of that security team, and we discussed going even further in terms of having security cameras or cameras around the perimeters of the various facilities so that security personnel in the church can see what's going on at any time, even in terms of extending the security responsibilities to the entire church population, so as to make them aware of any suspicious activity or persons that might be present who are obviously not engaged in the worship experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sad, and it shouldn't have to be, but it's the reality that you're facing right now. As you're speaking, it reminded me of something that the governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, that she talked about in the aftermath. She spoke very emotionally, holding back tears and speaking about the message that the conversations that parents are going to have with their kids going forward. If we have that soundbite, let's run that.
Parents are having to explain to their kids how they can go to church and feel safe, and that's not something we ever thought we'd deal with.
Going to have to explain to kids how they're going to go to church and feel safe. What is your message this weekend?
Well, my message this weekend, as it always is, I consider myself an ongoing advocate for peace. My message is continuing to talk about racial reconciliation, but at the same time, alongside that, discussing the security measures that are being enforced in our ministry so as to make everyone feel safe, and not excluding the children from that conversation, allowing them to hear that they are amongst a group of adults who have a structure in place for their safety and for their well-being. I think that is the best approach we can take as a ministry or as churches to make our children feel a sense of security in the worship experience.
I guess so. It's just still a tragedy that conversation even has to occur, and that conversation has to occur. But a lot of folks are going to be looking to you for that guidance this weekend. Pastor R.C. Blakes, thank you so much. Thank you so